Hey everyone, my name is Mark, and this is your astrological forecast for the week of August 11th to the 17th of 2022. So I do these videos pertaining to the cycles of the moon, so full moon, new moon, and first and last quarter squares. This week, of course, we have the full moon in Aquarius happening. This is again a weekly collective overview. I go through the astrology and then I pull cards for the major transits this week near the end of the video. If you want to go do each day or whatever, I should have the chapter markers listed in the video below. If you want to jump to the cards, that's there too. Um, also, in the comments, I'm trying to do this every week to try to be somewhat interactive for anybody that watches this. Let me know how Lionsgate went for you. Let me know how that quarter moon in Scorpio went for you last week. I'm interested to know and build a conversation with people who watch this. Also, I do weekly sun sign horoscope videos as well. So this video here is a collective forecast. If you want to know pertaining to your sun sign, and also your moon and your rising sign, watch the videos for those two. Those links will be in the description, and the playlist is also available on my channel as well. Anyway, with that being said, let's get into the charts. Okay, so to start off this week on Thursday, we have this full moon here happening in Aquarius. So we have the sun here at Leo at 19 degrees, moon here in Aquarius at 19 degrees, conjunct Saturn here at 22. So again, what I've been talking about for this whole time, we're kind of like in this space of recognizing aspects of unconditional love, kind of dumping and healing what we need to heal to move forward into this better world. Remember, this Uranus North Node conjunction is still happening here. And in fact, this sun and moon here are in square to the nodes. So it's almost like there's a T-square happening here between the sun and the nodes, and then there's another T-square happening here between the moon and the nodes. So this is creating like this grand square in the chart with these oppositions. And this is good. This is really going to be feeling very intense, especially with Saturn here on this moon. Because Saturn will bring this intensity. It's a malefic planet. It's bringing this, and it's the one kind of the boss of this up leveling as it is in Aquarius, right? We're shifting into this new space, almost like this new, I want to say like dimension almost, but it's shifting into a higher vibration, right? With this basis of unconditional love, illuminating our, these humanitarian goals, these connections, this, being more connected together rather than separation through negativity and hatred, right? We want to see these things through aspects of unconditional love. And again, this is also more childlike energy too. This is more playful. This is also wanting to do what, you want to do, or what we want to do as a society, as a collective, and move forward into this better, more, bountiful, beautiful place and world, right? This is happening at 19 degrees, which is of course a Libra degree. So this is bringing balance. This is with this grand square here. This is forced, but I want to say forced in more of a good way, right? But again, it may not feel that way while we're in it. I just want to preface that, especially with Saturn here. So I want to make note of that point that, we are in the middle of this positive uplifting shift. And I think what is a Lionsgate supposed to run till the 12th. So this could be kind of like the end of this kind of energy happening. I feel like there's probably, this isn't just necessarily Lionsgate, so to speak. I think that it aligns up with what we believe to be Lionsgate, right? This would have happened whether that was a thing or not, judging by these transits. So basically, yeah, like I said, this is definitely that up leveling, that lifting up. We're dealing more in this like Leo type unconditional love type energy, and this humanitarian Aquarian energy. And again, this full moon could also be a huge release, especially with it squaring the nodes and the south node being in Scorpio, of simply what isn't working for us in those unconditional love and humanitarian directions. Like how can we begin to move forward again, this push forward in this new way. This is more of that up leveling. So we've had this triple conjunction already that kind of set the tone. And now this is kind of really starting to push into more of this type of a direction. And again, the moon will conjunct Saturn after this. Obviously, this is happening in my time zone at 7:35 p.m. And as we move through the evening, the moon will in fact conjunct Saturn. So still being in a full moon kind of an aspect. So this may feel, again, more intense, may feel restrictive, may feel, Saturn's trying to teach us the lesson here. It's trying to be the boss and helping us to lift up and move forward. And are we in this state of maturity that we can actually lift up and move forward into this unique direction? So there's this, it's going to be extremely intensely powerful stuff with all those oppositions and squares to the nodes and everything happening. So this may feel like a heavy moon for some, and it may feel extremely positive for others, as with this Leo Aquarius stuff, and it'll depend on where it's placed in your chart. But also, just depending on where you are in life, depending on a lot of things, right? Again, the balance, there's kind of a balance between this and how it's going to feel for people. Again, with this Libra degree here, kind of being drawn to that, there's a balance coming into this. We're coming into more of a, or at least trying to come into more of a balanced state to move forward in this. Also exact on this day. So early in the day, so on the prior day, the sun had squared the nodes exact. And the nodes are now at a Leo degree. But now on this day, the sun square Uranus will happen exact in the morning. So after the sun squared the nodes, and then it'll square Uranus exact the morning of this day as well. So again, this is this shift into this new direction. So Uranus it's unpredictable energy, it's humanitarian energy, it's our connections, what we want to connect, disconnect with. And of course, the sun being in Leo, dealing with aspects of unconditional love, those kinds of things. The North Node being the direction that we're moving forward in. It is in Taurus. It is in our place, of abundance, right? These new aspects of abundance. Again, for a lot of people, this could be a shift in jobs or careers. But again, on a more collective level, this is a higher octave shift. Uranus deals with like a higher octave of knowledge of those things. So this is a higher octave shift into this abundant world and what we feel is abundant and what's going to bring us this abundance. And again, with this sun here in opposition to Saturn, could deal with a lot of ego stuff. And we was square to the South Node in Scorpio, trying to transmute and heal those ego-related issues so that we can push forward into this more like bountiful humanitarian type of direction, right? Again, this is this huge up-leveling. And with these squares here, it's this more forceful, friction-derived energy pushing us into this space. Also on this day, we're going to have Venus ingress Leo. So I'm kind of being drawn in thought towards the fact that Venus is the ruler or is domicile here in Taurus. So in Taurus, of course, is where all this kind of action is happening with the North Node. And of course, with the sun squaring and everything. And of course, Venus being in Taurus, it's the more sensual aspect. It likes to feel good, wants to smell good, look good, taste good, like all of those things in life, right? But it doesn't necessarily have to be like the rich aspect of that, but just in your day-to-day life, what's going to feel good for you. This also deals with aspects of career, how you make your money, your abundance in life, those kinds of things. And with it moving into Leo, it's kind of like we're not going to settle for less anymore, right? Venus in Leo, it wants to shine in Leo. She wants to be the queen here, right? This is like that royal energy. Venus is here, it wants to be the queen, and it wants to live the life that she wants to live. And again, this is this heightened divine feminine energy. So with Venus that was here in Cancer and this opposition to Pluto, so that was giving more of this power to this divine feminine energy and also this transmutation of in regards to these old structures and maybe old nurturing ways. And again, where this fell in your chart, certain themes of the house that it was in was going to be how it would affected you in your life. But as this Venus is still in opposition to Pluto, even though it's out of sign, this energy is still going to exist and persist for a while, especially now as she ingresses Leo. This is definitely going to be more into that space of, you know, coming from a more unconditional heart space, but also not settling for less, right? Venus in Taurus knows what she wants, and in Leo, she's gonna frickin' get it, right? So this, and again, where this kind of falls in your chart, but again, so these are dealing with aspects of relationships, careers, abundance, money, things like that, right? We've been in this space, in this kind of shifting energy, and it's going to be interesting coming up since Mercury here is in the sign of Virgo, and Mercury is building in trine to Uranus, or starts to build in trine to Uranus on this day as well. So we may be seeing shifts within our local environments around us and within our day-to-day lives, into this new direction. We're going to begin to start to see it now with this Mercury and Virgo trine, beginning to trine this Uranus and trine the nodes, or aspect the node. So it's trining the north node, and it'll probably sextile the south node at some point as it builds closer. But again, this is dealing with this new direction that we are shifting and moving forward in, right? And with Mercury here in Virgo, again, this is our day-to-day life. This is, analyzing, possibly seeing what we need to fix to move in this direction. But I feel like this is just more that shift. Could be seeing what we need to fix to shift in that direction. Excuse me. Maybe there's an emphasis to that point. Right? Analyzing how we can get in this direction, but also this shift into this day-to-day life within our local environments, and to move into this new radical space that these energies have been trying to uplift us and shift us into. Plus, the closer we get to Virgo season, Mercury soon, within about a week, is going to actually be starting its shadow to Mercury retrograde. So Mercury will be retrograding in Libra and back into Virgo through most of September. But we are going to reach the shadow period, I believe, on the 20th or 21st. So coming up not long after this quarter square here, if we look at the left, so August 18th. So looking into kind of next weekend, we're going to be hitting that Mercury shadow. We'll talk about that more when we get to it, but be wary of the themes that are happening around that time. And again, we're going to have Mars that will ingress Gemini as well. And through that, we're also going to have Mars go retrograde in Gemini too. I don't believe Mars leaves Gemini. I believe it stays in Gemini. I think it's between 8 and 20 some degrees Gemini. But again, Mars in Gemini is going to be very fast-paced energy, and we're going to be moving forward very quickly. There's going to be very swift changes. We're going to see things more from a mind space, possibly more from a curious space and more logical space. And again, what comes up, once Mars hits that 8-degree point and begins its shadow period, what happens in its beginning transit there are going to be the themes that will come up again during this retrograde. So that aspect of Mars in Gemini isn't really going to go away anytime soon either. So, and interestingly enough, Gemini and Virgo are both ruled by Mercury. So with Mars here, there's going to be a time where these two planets are going to be retrograde kind of at the same time. So we're going to be dealing a lot with this kind of mercurial mind, day-to-day local environment kind of stuff and mind-related stuff that's going to be happening. I think these shifts here that are happening are kind of at these higher octaves right now, especially in terms of dealing with Uranus and Saturn and those kind of outer planet stuff, as well as the sun, obviously, in big aspects to these. But now we're going to start to see, after these up-leveling shifts, these more inner planets, and then they're going to touch on these areas, and then we're going to go retrograde, kind of to make sure that, we're moving in the right directions or that these things are happening appropriately. So we may kind of see, or that the action steps are being taken, that maybe even the logical action steps that are being taken now are going to be taken after this kind of uplifting and shift that is happening in our lives. So we're kind of seeing this major kind of push and change, and then that's going to kind of come down and affect us within our day-to-day lives. It's almost like this manifestation to kind of aspect it's happening, these outer planets that see the larger picture, and that energy happens, and then it's going to bubble into our day-to-day lives. So this Mercury retrograde is probably going to be quite interesting, especially since part of it does exist in Virgo. It does start in Libra, so we're going to see these aspects as well of relationships and things. I know I basically just said I was going to talk about this in next week's video, but here I am talking about it now. But again, we're going to see these aspects and even more this balance and beauty kind of aspect of Libra that could come up as well with Mercury here. But again, it's these day-to-day life, maybe the relationships within that aspect kind of appearing. But again, we'll get into more of that as it happens, and we'll view the transits as they're happening around that time too. And then we're going to also have on this day Mars in sextile to Neptune. So this would have happened right before Mars shifted to 25 degrees. So this is at a Pisces degree. So this may feel somewhat like confusion, possibly, especially in the sign Mars is in Taurus, in terms of our money, abundance, career, those kind of aspects that we're moving towards. It's maybe more of a place of where you need to listen to your intuition more. Maybe aspects of confusion. This could be more, this divine feminine support, even just going. And I've kind of feel that divine feminine, but also just the divine in general, in terms of its support in pushing us into this direction, especially at a Pisces degree. But again, this could be solidifying or pushing forward more on this dream and this more subconscious. I don't necessarily possibly subconscious and intuitively guided, maybe action steps that need to be taken here in the sign of Taurus before Mars ingresses into Gemini. And of course, Mars here is still coming off of its square to Saturn. So this is feeling less of that intensity, but that intensity is still there. That more humanitarian kind of push is still there, and recognizing maybe our uniqueness and following through on those specific connections or building connections to help to get us to this new point in our life and in our world, right? So, and of course, Mars is almost in close trine to Pluto here as well in Capricorn. So this is, again, this transmutation of these structures in our world to push into this new direction. And also this control, this aspect of power and control. But I feel like with this trine, that shift is into this more this direction of Taurus, and with Mars also being in square to Saturn in Aquarius, this is bringing us to this more humanitarian, more developing this state of unconditional love kind of aspect to this. So it's this shift in that new direction and not necessarily in the old negative direction, right? And again, with this divine feminine, Venus now moving into the sign of Leo, she's finding now more of her place kind of on the throne, possibly, so to speak, in terms of, her help. This Pluto has given her more control and power, especially now still, since she's still in opposition as she's ingress into Leo, despite the out of sign aspect. All right, so it looks like Thursday is going to be kind of a busy day with that full moon, and you can see kind of outlined in this chart that grand square with those oppositions existing. And so there's going to be some intensity really happening on this day. But again, this is for the upliftment and for this shift forward into this new direction, into this new state. So let's move on to Friday. Okay, so on Friday here, we're going to have the moon going to ingress Pisces. And before it does that, though, it's going to be squaring Mars. So it's going to be conjuncting Saturn, obviously, on the previous day. And then we're going to be hitting that square again to Mars. And again, this is bringing up more of those themes from the previous, this Saturn square Mars. But now it could be in this more emotionally connected state, what we want to connect to in terms of Aquarius, these more subconscious humanitarian goals, and kind of reviewing these more within ourselves, especially in this square to Mars. This can feel harsh. The moon doesn't like the malefics, the Mars being a malefic and being in square. But I also feel like this is that humanitarian kind of, we're moving into this new space and this new direction. It's like the moon it's kind of like this subconscious, possibly a realization, or this subconscious and intuitive push, or even a review of your plans, right? I'm kind of being drawn somewhat to the moon card in tarot here to just, make sure that where we're going is where we're going, right? Making sure that this plan here of where we're going is kind of solidified. This may give us, maybe some insight into what we need to kind of shift to push forward into this direction. Again, this is going to be more subconscious and emotionally related. But then the moon will ingress into Pisces. And we're going to be in this more emotional kind of flowing type of environment and space in this water sign again. But then the more emotional sensitivities will kind of come up in this sense. And the sun on this day also does move into a Scorpio degree, right? Still building an opposition to Saturn here. But as we move into the Scorpio degree, and now with the moon in Pisces, we're going to feel, again, this more, possibly an intensified water type of energy, this sensitivity, and of course, this Scorpio transformational kind of aspect that could be coming up in this sense too, especially since as the moon transits Pisces, it will in conjunct the sun. So there will be some type of kind of integration that will happen. I'm not sure exactly what day that happens. I don't usually go over those in these videos, or the minor aspects, that is. But there could be certain aspects, again, in regards to the sun and moon still coming up. But again, with the moon here and also with the sun at a Scorpio degree, still in square with the south node here. Again, it's still kind of in this grand, in a T-square aspect now that the moon has moved on, but somewhat in a grand square aspect since it is opposition to Saturn. So we had the full moon here, but again, the Saturn energy that we saw in that full moon will still exist, and it's still going to happen in kind of this grand square aspect still throughout this week, again involving Saturn. And then we're going to see, now that Venus is ingress Leo, she starts to build in her trine to Jupiter. So this is now giving this push, this positive power to this Venus energy moving forward, right? And again, this could be that Jupiter is at an intense Scorpio degree here. Excuse me. Oh. Jupiter is at this intense Scorpio degree here. And in this trine, this could be, again, the feminine helping us to heal, especially in terms of our independence and our self, and through unconditional love too, and understanding, our worth in this unconditional love kind of state. Remember, Venus is the ruler of Taurus, and that deals with self-worth. And this could be this unconditional love and understanding our worth and our independence, and the expansion kind of in that as well. So again, and she's still in opposition to Pluto here too. So again, there's this transformative theme and this healing that's going to kind of come up in this sense as well. But again, she's building into this, so we're going to start to feel this energy happen. And the intensity usually happens in these cycles through the waxing period or the building period as we approach the exact point that these planets sort of aspect. And then in the waning period, that energy is still there, but it's less intense, right? It's like we've had kind of like these negative or intense things happen, and now after that, we're kind of just dealing with it, and we're used to it, and we're cleaning it up and kind of moving forward in that sense. So it's the more positive side after the fact. But the fact that this is a trine, this is going to be more of a positive aspect to this energy, but they are in intense fire signs. So this will end up being felt. But again, it's going to be this expansion of these aspects of Venus, within the positive, passionate states. All right, let's move to Saturday. Okay, so on Saturday, we're going to have the moon in Pisces here, and it's going to oppose Mercury in Virgo. So, and it's going to aspect the nodes and Uranus too. So with this, I feel like this is almost going to be that start of this kind of day-to-day life stuff that I mentioned. This shift into kind of this new direction, applying these higher octave elements now to more of like a local level. With this opposition, though, it's this intuitive flow versus this analytical, scheduled life. So, and with it aspecting the nodes, it's trying to find balance between this higher spiritual kind of guidance and how that's going to affect us within our day-to-day lives, and kind of where we need to be going within our schedules, with we analyzing our schedules, our communication and things like that. And with this aspect to the nodes, especially in this trine for Mercury to the north node, it's about changing our schedules and maybe changing our lives, our local environment to be more in this positive shift into this new direction, right? And with this opposition, it's trying to build this balance between this intuitive flow with our day-to-day lives as we perform kind of this shift. So again, we're starting into this place. These cycles and these energies will begin to overlap, especially now that we've had that moon energy. Again, so sorry, I'm just checking my notes here because I'm seeing I wanted to check what day this is going to happen, because we are going to have this Sun opposition Saturn here on Sunday. So, but it happens early on Sunday as it's happening at this degree. So over the weekend, we're going to feel this intensity. And I feel like with this moon opposition, it's starting to kind of recognize more of this up-leveling shift that we've experienced up to this full moon. And now with the Sun opposition Saturn, and how it's going to be more solidified within our day-to-day life, our local environment, and our schedules in that regard in our lives, and finding this balance between this, this intuitive flow or this kind of dream state fantasy of what we want to achieve, and fitting it in with our day-to-day schedules. So the Sun does move to a Sagittarius degree. So this is more positivity and more expansion in this way. And this Sag also deals with higher knowledge, higher learning. And I feel like, especially with this, and Saturn moves to that degree on this day as well. And then the Sun, that's that exact degree when it reaches the right minute here on Sunday morning, is when this opposition will happen exact with the Sun and Saturn. So this is going to be happening at a more positive degree in this regard, right? So we're not stuck at this Capricorn degree that's happening. It's happening at a Sag degree. So we're expanding into this new up-leveling state and into these new directions, especially as it is still squaring the nodes in Uranus as this is happening, right? It's waning off of that square. So we're going to see maybe a more positive effect to what this square initially kind of entailed as we expand and move into these directions. Excuse me. But yeah, this is definitely dealing with this axis of this, this unconditional love and building, understanding our uniqueness and our connections with each other and these humanitarian efforts that that are going to push us forward into this new direction, what we need to transmute and what we need to push forward to. And again, with this moon here at the same time, and it is in conjunct, approaching its in conjunct to the sun too, this integration of this flow and this aspect of, how this is going to affect our day-to-day life and schedules. But there's a positive part to this. So this up leveling may have felt intense, felt harsh, but there's going to be this, again, this positive shift. There's a lot going on. And I mean, I say that, and there has been a lot going on astrologically for a long time, really. I mean, we've felt a lot of intense energies, especially since 2020, but since before then as well. That looks like all I have for Saturday. Let's move to Sunday. So again, here on Sunday, I've already talked about the Sun opposition Saturn on Saturday. Right, it's the continuation of this kind of up-leveling shift. But as the Sun begins to move away now from this opposition to Saturn, and again, this is going to feel intense, right? Saturn is a malefic, and it's this up-leveling stuff. We're going to be shifting, this is like this could be a hard lesson in terms of unconditional love, a hard lesson in terms of humanitarian goals, things like that, and through this. But again, this energy is peaking now. Once it falls off, we're going to maintain this shift now into our day-to-day lives as the Sun moves on from this aspect and moves to ingress Virgo. I'm not going to go on with this Sun opposition Saturn for much more, as I've talked about it a lot already in this video. So also on this day, we do have Mars coming into exact trine to Pluto. And Mars now here, building in square to the Sun too. So we have this big shift is still happening, right? Mars in Taurus is very stubborn. It knows what it wants here to feel good and to move into this direction. And with the trine Pluto, I think I've mentioned it already in this video. This is intensifying this, but also this giving power to this positive power to this, but also in moving us within this new direction while giving us control in this new direction while destroying, not, I don't want to say destroying is an intense word, but transmuting these structures from this old world aspect as well. So this is a positive aspect, but again, we're dealing with a malefic planet trine to Pluto in a malefic sign. So again, this is going to feel intense. I feel like this weekend, there's going to be this intensity that's still happening, but there's also this stubbornness here with Mars and Taurus, this warrior energy in Taurus pushing us into this new direction. And this intense energy is going to be helping us to shift that. And the Sun will move to a Capricorn degree after its opposition or direct opposition to Saturn here. So we're going to be feeling this, but also more grounded in towards this movement into this new space and this new direction. In terms of the moon here, so the moon is going to also be sextiling Mars and Pluto before it ingresses Aries. And of course, Mars and Pluto are trining around the same time that will happen. So with the moon being in Pisces, this is kind of going with the flow of the shift, but I also feel like this is the divine intuitive guidance into this shift, into this new kind of a space, right? This is very high level stuff that's happening right now. And again, like I said, we're going to see this start to filter down through into our day-to-day life, local environments, things like that. A lot of us are feeling this. We're feeling these shifts and changes, but we may not fully, or are going through them, but we may not fully recognize what's going to come out of it yet. You know, it's like you're in the middle of a movie. You're not quite into your new place yet. And once we hit more of that Virgo, Mars, and Gemini type energy, we're going to be more so shifting into that place, right? We're still in the middle of the tunnel. We haven't reached, or we're not out on the other side yet, right? So, and that's kind of what this energy feels like in this moment. That's really kind of all I have for Sunday. The moon obviously will ingress Aries and will begin its trine to Venus. So there's this positive kind of intuitive feminine power that is kind of exists from this trine that is going to kind of help in this shift. So I feel like the feminine has come into a more powerful state now. We have to recognize that this shift that has been happening, this giving power to this divine feminine energy, is now coming kind of into this more state. She's in her queen state now, right? Yeah, and that trine to that moon. So the moon in Aries again is very reactive. We're going to have this very kind of reactive, intense energy, and it's going to obviously move into conjunction with Jupiter. So be wary of that. But with this trine to Venus, this is more of this positive, fiery, passionate, feminine state, and helping us to shift in these directions too. Okay, let's move to Monday. Okay, so on Monday here, I get to the moon in a minute. I'm just kind of looking at my notes, but I want to start in a different space than what I had written. So Mercury here is going, in Virgo, is going to aspect the nodes on this day exact. So trine the north node and sextile the south node. Ooh. Excuse me. I don't know what's happening with me today in this video. This is going to be happening at a Leo degree. So since this full moon and stuff and all of that happened in Leo Aquarius, I feel like this is this grounding again. We're in this energetic shift. Remember, with this moon or this Mercury opposition, the moon that was happening around this time, integration into our day-to-day schedule. I feel like at this Leo degree, this is again this integration now, this positive integration now into our day-to-day lives of this shift, kind of into this new space and this new direction, right? As it's happening at this Leo degree, all of this stuff happened in Leo, so we're going to have this same energetic frequency or this vibe that is happening now as we shift in this new direction now in our day-to-day lives, right? So we're shifting into our day-to-day lives, our schedules, our communication, our local environments, the very mercurial kind of oriented things. Those are the things that exist kind of close to us in our environment, our communication, again, our day-to-day lives, those things, right? And so this is in positive aspect here. So the heavier aspect to this, the more powerful one is, of course, the trine to the north node and Uranus into this new direction. And obviously the sextile here to the south node is intensifying, what isn't working needs to be let go of, right? But I feel like with all of the intense energy that has happened now, this is going to be a lot easier to kind of let go of those things. And definitely even easier again to move forward into this new direction, right? So, we can move on to the moon here now. The moon on this day is going to conjunct Jupiter and conjunct Chiron. So this is going to be reflecting here on our independence, our wounds to our independence. at the same time, with this conjunction to Chiron, we're in conjunct Mercury here and in conjunct the South Node. So what caused these wounds or what hasn't happened in the past needs to be integrated and transmuted. And these can be used as a crutch in these ideas of our independence and what may feel like we don't want to express to the world can, through integration, be helpful in this shift in our day-to-day lives as well, too. Right? So there's this yod here. There's kind of this yod from Mercury in the South Node to this moon conjunct Chiron here in Aries. And that's these subconscious wounds of ourselves and trying to use them, you know, with this sun trine here. There's more of an integration that just needs to happen with these inconjuncts, right? So again, we're going to feel subconsciously these things, but with it being in conjunct the South Node here and this Mercury stuff, this is dealing about these shifts that we need to take. And the recognizing that, you know, we can use our unique individual aspects to, you know, affect us within our day-to-day lives and our schedules that can be of benefit, right? Because this is this uplifting state that we've had into this unconditional love type space. Also on this day, we're going to start, wrong planet. We're going to start to see Mercury build in opposition to Neptune. So again, this is more what I talked about with that moon opposition. This is going to be more in with that balance of our day-to-day lives versus going with the flow, our dreams. This can bring up aspects of confusion as well, not knowing maybe where we're going to go within this. But again, this is that manifestation of these big shifts that we've been going through into our local environments and day-to-day lives. Now we have Neptune coming in here, another outer planet helping us with this opposition in this shift, right? And it's going to bring up aspects of confusion, but we're bringing in more of this divine help and maybe more so going with the flow. This is that feminine energy again, and having more of a flexible schedule, shifting into this new direction within our day-to-day lives to kind of help us, right? But it's finding a balance between those energies. Also, we have the sun moving to an Aquarius degree. So this is this humanitarian degree, still in opposition to Saturn. So we're dealing with, again, more of these unconditional love type things, which is probably a good degree to move into after that moon Chiron kind of stuff that's happening there. It looks like all I have for Monday. Let's move on to Tuesday. So on Tuesday, we're kind of going to have a lot happening with the moon here. So the moon is going to sextile Saturn, going to trine the sun, square Pluto, and then ingress Taurus. Yeah, sextile Saturn. I thought it was trine Saturn. I'm like, what? No, it trines the sun. So with this sextile to Saturn, again, this is recognizing our uniqueness in terms of the connections we can make to help build in our individuality and pushing forward in our independence. With it trine the sun here, it again brings up these aspects of this unconditional love and the integrations of that. Scoring Pluto, we're going to be dealing more with, you know, this transmutation of these old control structures in the world. This is kind of almost like pushing more control to us, even if it is, I don't know, the moon is our emotion subconscious. So this could deal with subconscious aspects in terms of control and our independence that could come up in this way, right? And with this square, it's going to start to bring those up and transmute and maybe heal those things as we go through that. And then it will ingress Taurus, where the moon is going to feel a lot, more, it's going to feel better, let's say, as it comes into Taurus, because it's in a more nurturing sign that is more, homey for the moon. Because the moon feels at home in Cancer, which is another nurturing sign, and Taurus and Cancer are very nurturing feminine energies. So also on this day, Mercury will be in exact trine to Uranus. So again, we are now shifting. These higher level shifts are now being integrated within our day-to-day lives. So there may feel like schedule changes, a lot of changes in things, communications maybe coming out of nowhere, things of that sort that could be happening on this day. But they're pushing us into this new direction, right? So it may seem crazy and wild, but there's a beneficial factor to this, especially since it is in trine. So, but again, that's this integration of this crazy new direction that we're moving into our day-to-day lives, and that's obviously going to involve these radical shifts in our day-to-day schedule, in our local environment, things like that. And then I also have written here, Sun moves to a Pisces degree. So again, it's kind of going with this flow, this feminine flow aspect. We're going to feel, I feel like it's the beginning of this integration, especially with Mercury building an opposition to Neptune, of this kind of higher level spiritual, this shift, this up-leveling shift that we've gone through is now kind of being pushed from this spiritual higher realm into our day-to-day lives. Okay, let's move on to Wednesday. Okay, so on Wednesday here is when we're going to have this, this moon square Venus. I'm reading my notes and I'm confusing all of the words that are there. Anyways, so we have the moon that will be in square to Venus on this day. So this is this intuitive feminine kind of aspect. Moon in Taurus, it wants to feel good, it wants to be nurtured. Venus in Leo wants that at a kind of a different level. She's the queen, she kind of wants what she wants. This could be kind of very stubbornish, kind of this feminine energy, but it's this push into this kind of new space as well, that may feel a bit, and it's this Venus, because Venus is the ruler of Taurus here. We're dealing more along the lines of, career, material things, whatever. And Leo, she's the queen. She wants what she wants. She wants the spotlight. She wants kind of the best of the best. And Taurus kind of wants something similar, wants to feel good. So there's kind of this square of this shift in terms of these career, relationship, material type aspects to maybe move into this better direction. Right? And the moon is, of course, building into this last quarter square, into this more of a take action period, to take action now, especially in this shift to this more day-to-day life aspect of these huge transformational things that we have been going through. Sun does move to an Aries degree, so again, we're kind of taking proactive action here as we move into this quarter square, right? So this is taking action into moving into this more kind of a space like that. Mercury as well begins its trine to Pluto. We're going to start to see this shift too. So there's this shift now that is going to be happening, within our day-to-day lives. And remember, Mercury here is still aspecting the nodes too. So we're going to feel this positive transformation in terms of maybe shifts of control or transforming these old ways of doing things and these old structures into this new day-to-day life routine and aspects. But these are positive aspects. So we're moving into this new direction. And it's interesting to note too that this trine will probably most likely happen as Mercury, or this exact trine will happen. And don't quote me on this, I haven't fully looked into this. Looks like it will happen around the time Mercury enters its shadow. So we're going to see issues of these shifts that we're going through come up for a while. Okay, within these next few. It'll be with, once Mercury enters shadow, 7 to 8 weeks, right? We're going to see certain themes come up, and this Mercury trine Pluto is going to be looking like it's going to be one of those themes. We're also going to have Venus come in trine to Jupiter overnight as we head in to this quarter square. I'm not sure when this quarter square is out, so it doesn't happen till at night. So we're going to have this Venus trine Jupiter happen overnight. So this is this very positive feminine expansion that is going to happen in terms of, individuality in this lift up. I also feel like this is coming into balance more as well, this divine masculine and divine feminine energy. As now Venus is in masculine signs and Jupiter, and she's now in trine to Jupiter and is helping in this expansion, and also at 8 degrees, this healing of these aspects as well. This is also expansion of those things that Venus wants to represent in Leo. She wants these good things, especially in terms of partnerships, career, money, abundance, those things. And Jupiter in this positive trine in Aries, in the independent sign, so for ourselves, can help in the expansion of these things, right? So this is going to be more expansion and more benefic energy that is happening in this sense. And again, around the same time as we have these shifts now in our day-to-day schedule and day-to-day lives that are occurring. One thing to note that I did have here, so I mentioned some of the first, was maybe like the second weekly video I did when I started uploading these to YouTube, was this yacht in regards to the moon. This would have been about a month ago, more than a month and a half ago. In regards to moon, this moon that would have been, it must have been in Leo. And it had these same in conjunct aspects to Pluto and Neptune in regards to these, the solution to our problems is this integration of unconditional love and the expression of that, right? And here we have this divine dream, this divine help, as well as this Pluto transmuting these old structures of the old world in conjunct now, this sun in Leo, emphasizing these aspects of this unconditional love space as it is in opposition to Saturn here in Aquarius, defining, our unique connections and these humanitarian goals and unconditional love goals that we are shifting forward in. So the solution, like I said, has always been there. But now that the sun in Leo is accessing this point that the moon did about a month and a half-ish ago, we are now going to see more, especially in this opposition to Saturn again, this more of these things, especially since the sun is exalted in Leo, this aspect come up again more strongly in regards to the answer to everything is always within our own hearts, right? So this is this up-leveling again to this higher vibration, this higher state, in order to shift into these new directions, into these new states, right? So, and again, I mentioned that, Pluto and Neptune here, they're in sextile. This could deal with these deceptive and controlling energies of our world, but I don't even want to say those words anymore because I feel like in the state that we are in, we're shifting into this higher vibrational state now, especially with the sun in Leo that just wants to live and have fun and enjoy and be childlike and enjoy its life, right? So with these inconjuncts to these shifts, the stream is shifting. The universe is helping us, like this transmutation of this old world is really happening through this heart space, through this unconditional love space, to shift us into this new direction. And again, that's part of this uplifting and this large shift. All right, so that's all I have for the astrology for this week. Let's pull some cards for the transits. Okay, so let's pull some cards for the transits that are happening this week. So I got quite a number here. Obviously, the first one we're going to pull for is this Aquarius Full Moon. And then Sun square Uranus, Venus ingress Leo, Mars sextile Neptune, Sun opposition Saturn, Mars trine Pluto, Mercury aspecting the nodes, Mercury trine Uranus, and of course the Venus trine Jupiter overnight on Wednesday. Okay, so give these a shuffle. All right. So, what does the universe want us to know about this Aquarius full moon happening on Thursday? So we have the Page of Fire. It says creative, enthusiastic, and motivated. So this is the Page of Wands. So we're beginning, this could be the beginning of starting a new passion, starting a new whatever. But again, with this huge grand square and those oppositions, this is the start of that shift into this new direction and into this new loving space. Remember, Leo is a fire sign. Page of Fire, Page of Wands, ruling passion. And with the squares that it's making, this is, and the word creative, as this Leo is also one of the signs that is, it's one of the most creative signs, Leo and Pisces. And again, I'm also being drawn to the energy of Leo being childlike, and the fact that this is like teenager type energy into this card. We are shifting again into this more, unconditional love type space, into this new passionate direction in terms of youth. And I'm also being, drawn to the aspect of our youth of today too. If you look at some of the generational aspects in terms of what Gen Z has in their charts, with Pluto being in Sagittarius, Uranus in Aquarius in its home sign, as well as Neptune there, they have more of a humanitarian, higher understanding of things, to push in these certain directions. So I feel like, and I've kind of said this before, they're kind of like the game changers in the shift to the new world. They're not really meant to live in the structures that we have in existence today. They're here to live and to help us shift into this new space, right? And I feel like this is almost somewhat the start of that as we move into that new direction. All right. So also happening on Thursday is Sun square Uranus. So let's see, what does the universe have for that Sun square Uranus on Thursday? What does the universe have for Sun square Uranus on Thursday? So we have the Seven of Fire, challenge, determination, resistance. I feel like this is more of a determination. It could come up as resistance, as in Uranus tends to have things come out of nowhere. But this is standing our ground and moving forward in the direction that is more, meant for us, right? I feel like this could be also be standing our ground in our uniqueness, our unique aspects, and from this state, and in pushing us forward, into this unique direction. Again, Uranus being in Taurus, this is very stubborn energy, which is what could kind of be causing this. And of course, the Sun in Leo, it wants what it wants too, and it's this unconditional love type of energy. So there's kind of this push. It's like, no, we're moving in this direction. I don't give a shit what anybody else says, right? And it doesn't even have to be that harsh. It could just be, no, I'm standing my ground. We need to move forward, we need to, I need to defend myself in this way. All right, so let's pull a card for that Venus ingress Leo that will also be happening on that day. Okay, so what does the universe want us to know about Venus ingress Leo on Thursday? What does the universe want us to know about Venus ingress Leo on Thursday? So we have here the Four of Water, distraction, self-absorption, and discontentment. When I first pulled this, I was really drawn to the word self-absorption, the fact that it's going to be in Leo. This could be ego aspects again that come up, especially in regards to, what we're looking at and the things that we want possibly in life. Right? So it's like there's something better that's coming, that's being offered, that we maybe need to turn around and take a look at. Again, Venus and Leo being in this sign of like being the queen and wanting what's best. Don't get caught into so much that self-absorption when that best and good thing that's for you might just be staring you right in the face. So be careful with that. And it could be bringing up those aspects in terms of healing that as well. Because remember, we're feeling this rise of the divine feminine. So there could be aspects in terms of maybe self-absorption in some ways, possibly coming from the masculine as well, as Leo is a masculine sign. And now that Venus is in there trying to assert her power and bring balance, there may be those things that come up too. So let's pull a card now for this Mars sextile Neptune on Thursday. So what does the universe want us to know for Mars sextile Neptune on Thursday? Mars sextile Neptune on Thursday. Mars sextile Neptune on Thursday. So we have the card of strength, courage, compassion, and perseverance. So again, it's that Mars, it's that kind of that warrior energy. Sextile Neptune here, I feel like Neptune is more this divine feminine energy, trying to, pet the lion. It's like assuring him of the courage of this direction that we're going in, right? It could feel confusing, right? Because of Neptune and this direction, but it's trying to find this strength to continue to keep moving forward into this direction, that it will be okay. So we're being supported by not just the divine, but here it looks like the divine feminine helping to support in this movement forward. Okay, now we can move on to a different day, Sunday. So Sun opposition Saturn. Let's see here. Pull a card for that Sun opposition Saturn on Sunday. What does the universe want us to know about Sun opposition Saturn on Sunday? So Sun opposition Saturn on Sunday. Sun opposition Saturn on Sunday. We have the Lovers, so relationships, emotions, and choices. Unconditional love. At first I was kind of confused as to why this card was drawn. I now see I'm being drawn to the word the lovers in the card, as well as the fact that this card depicts two men being in love with each other. So again, with this opposition, there's this lesson here in love. Sun and Leo oppose Saturn in Aquarius. Our uniqueness, it's just our uniqueness, the weird part of ourselves, right? Or what is deemed as weird, but it's not really actually weird, but it's really, it deals with aspects of unconditional love. All right, on Sunday again, this Mars trine Pluto. Okay, Sunday, so Mars trine Pluto. What does the universe want us to know about Mars trine Pluto on Sunday? What does the universe want us to know about Mars trine Pluto on Sunday? What does the universe want us to know about Mars trine Pluto on Sunday? Ugh, what does the universe want us to know about Mars trine Pluto on Sunday? Here we go. To the Ten of Air, so endings, recovery, and freedom. So again, with this trine, we're dealing with this positive aspect, trine to Pluto. So this is, this transmutation of these old structures, the old world, and of course Mars moving forward, kind of into this new direction. So this is kind of like this. Is tired of these old thoughts, tired of being stabbed in the back, tired of all of this stuff. Like, it's time to move forward into this. I'm being drawn to this word here, freedom. Right? And also recovery too, as Pluto can be very healing. So we're pushing forward into kind of this new space. So the next one is Mercury aspecting the nodes on Monday. What does the universe want us to know about Mercury aspecting the nodes on Monday? Okay, so we have the King of Earth, prosperous, generous, successful. So with Mercury being in an Earth sign, even the North Node being an Earth sign, this is now, we're trying to bring these energies down into our day-to-day lives where we can become successful, or where we can become this King of Pentacles and, make the right investments to properly, move forward into these directions, right? So yeah, I'm being drawn to the word successful. I feel like Virgo always wants to be, it's a perfectionist, be successful. So I feel like we're going to be kind of, wanting to be successful as well in this shift, in this aspect to the nodes and integrating all of this stuff. So it's like about making that good investment and moving forward there too. So on Tuesday, we're going to have Mercury trine Uranus. All right, what does the universe have for that Mercury trine Uranus on Tuesday? What does the universe have for that Mercury trine Uranus on Tuesday? What does the universe have for Mercury trine Uranus on Tuesday? What does the universe have for Mercury trine Uranus on Tuesday? What does the universe have for Mercury trine Uranus on Tuesday? Okay, one card, please. What does the universe have for Mercury trine Uranus on Tuesday? They have the Queen of Water, loving, giving, psychic. I'm being drawn to the fact that this card is the therapist. I think things may be switching in such directions that it may be like stressing us out. And so we need to make sure that we're kind of nurturing these aspects. Also, the word psychic as well, as Uranus is kind of like this higher octave, and it kind of, things happen out of nowhere. So with it being an aspect to Mercury, and positive aspect as well, this could feel like almost like intuitive psychic zaps to our head, being like, oh, this is kind of what we're moving in this direction as well. And also this loving and giving too, because Uranus is the ruler of the humanitarian sign of Aquarius, and kind of so moving in that direction. So, and because it's in this Virgo, this very stressful day-to-day life sign, we may have to be each other's therapists in helping us to get through a lot of these shifts and through this understanding and paying attention to what the kind of the psychic things that we might be receiving in our heads. Okay, last one here. So this Venus trine Jupiter overnight on Wednesday. So Venus trine Jupiter on Wednesday, what does the universe have for us on that? The Ten of Water, family, love, and blessings. This is the Ten of Cups in traditional tarot. This is emotional fulfillment. This is the happy family. This is very positive emotional type of energy. And of course, with that Venus and trine to Jupiter, yeah, it's a very benevolent type of stuff, type of thing that's going on, and right before this last quarter square. So I got the vibe in the astrology that would be a positive aspect, and it definitely looks like it will be. All right, so that's all I have for this week. If you like this video, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this video. You know, if you want to get a reading with me, follow me on social media, any of that kind of stuff. All the links are in the description below. I'm trying to do lives on Twitch every Sunday to have it be more interactive, so I can go through this stuff with other people and they can talk to me, etc. If that interests you, the link is also in the description below. So again, thank you all for watching. Have a good week and take care. Bye for now. Bye.